Welcome back to Sunday Supplement. Let's talk Liverpool now, because it was a fourth Premier League draw in a row. Some of that good feeling from the draw against the Emirates kind of dissipated with a home draw against Burnley. John, they were booed off. This is the piece in the Sunday Telegraph by David Lynch. Liverpool booed off after Burnley smash and grab. They had plenty of chances, but another frustrating afternoon. One of those days, or are there now reasons to start worrying?
Well, there are definitely.
They weren't already.
Absolutely. There are definitely reasons to start worrying from a team that was so dominant last season, so good and so entertaining, and with such style last season in winning the title. Look, the fan base are frustrated. You know, they're frustrated, I think, at results, perhaps not turning a corner, slots, maybe style of play, struggling a little bit to kind of blend in new players. It was such a change, wasn't it, in the playing staff and the players and the squad in the summer, and so much else going on as well, that always felt like a big ask to kind of then turn that into an immediate impact into them defending the title. Yes, they made a great start to the campaign, which has fallen away, but we are seeing better things from Wirtz, certainly. You know, Szoboszlai, who I think has been their best player overall this season, missing a penalty, and so things like that are just not working. But I do feel as if Liverpool will, I think, probably, I mean, the one area where they've been really good this season, or kind of got good results, if you like, yes, they have a couple of setbacks, obviously, is Champions League. So maybe they sort of kind of have a say in Europe. And I feel strongly that they will still finish in the Champions League places. Yes, they kind of feels like they're harder to beat, bit of an unbeaten run, which obviously Slot is rightly proud of, but it's about getting that balance right, because I think the fans would say at the moment that balance isn't right. It's a bit too defensive. They want to see a bit more expansive, and that's the frustration, which was highlighted again against Burnley, simply because that game should have been out of sight, and they allowed Burnley back into it. Great result for Burnley, but really no one saw that coming, and that's another frustration, isn't it, for Liverpool and Slots?
Just picking up on that, because you said that Wirtz is starting to show why Liverpool spent all that money. It was a team, Jack, yesterday that contained four of their big summer signings in Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz and Ekitike. Because of these uninspiring results, for want of a better word, recently, does it speak more towards maybe what was a lopsided recruitment? Because Arne Slot seems to be getting the flack at the moment, whereas if they were to say, well, I'll drop Konate or drop Van Dijk, let's bring Gay in. Oh, we didn't get him because we waited until deadline. Now he's off to Manchester City.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that Slot's faced this season is it's a completely different team from last season's team. It's a completely different team. Like, last season's team ultimately was a platform for Salah to show how good he was. And it was a really effective platform, and it had everybody contributed, everybody pulled in the right direction. Actually reminded me a little bit of watching Argentina play, in the sense that Argentina, if you watch Argentina, it's a platform for Messi to be the superstar. And Liverpool last year was a little bit like that. But when you bring in all these new guys, they don't want to be a platform for Salah. Like, if you spend massive money on Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, who are all really good players in their own right, they want to be the main man. They want to be the star. They don't want to be doing the running for somebody else. And I think that basically means the whole team and the whole ethos and purpose of the team has been transformed. And Slot's had to he's had to rewire the aeroplane mid-air, basically. It's an incredibly difficult coaching job to do. And it's clear, I actually think they've been at their best this year when they've really built around Wirtz and Ekitike rather than trying to replicate what they did last season. But it's such a huge change that I think they've just struggled to replicate any kind of results while they're going through this big transformation.
Gay is the big one at the back, though. I mean, you look at the start of the season, Konate was all over the place. You look again there, he's pictured there in the Telegraph, and some of the defending yesterday was shocking. And whether it was Gay, or I know they bought Leone, the younger defender, in to be an option, but he doesn't and he got injured, but he doesn't really feel like someone that would have been really pushing Konate and Van Dijk for their place in the team and really driving them on to maintain a high level. They were so reliable and efficient last year as a team as they just relentlessly marched towards the title, and that was built upon such a solid defence. They've invested in the fullback areas they needed to replace Alexander-Arnold. Kerkez hasn't really worked out so far. There's still a great player in there, but a very erratic one. and there's just this big hole at the back now. Van Dijk has been such an incredible figurehead, talisman for them, leader for them, and it's not really fair that again and again it all should have to be on him, and we've seen that creak at times this year. There's been no one there really to reliably support them and challenge them and push them on, and they really did. You know, Mark Gay would have been upset that Palace didn't let him go on deadline day, but he should have been more upset with Liverpool that they didn't go in and just get it done earlier and sort it all out and secure that move for him. And now he's gone and arguably got a better move to Manchester City, and they've let that one slip. That's where they need the help and the support, and you can build from that sort of base. It's the frustration with more defensive football is because he can't trust his two centre-halves to keep everything out when everyone else goes forward.
Yeah, big week ahead for Liverpool. 2 big away games in the Champions League at Marseille and then Bournemouth in the Premier League. Big game tonight as well. It's the Africa Cup of Nations final. Senegal against Morocco in the showpiece. Delighted to say we can join Jay Harris from The Athletic, who is out there in Rabat. Jay, great to see you. I know you've been covering this tournament from day one. We are at the final now. Senegal against Morocco. Is it a fitting finale? Are we seeing the 2 best teams in the tournament contesting this?
Definitely. I think what's important for people to know is that Senegal and Morocco are here for a reason. This is not a one-off. They're the 2 sides who've put real investment into their national teams over an extended period of time. You look at Morocco, they're extremely good at youth team level. So is Senegal. We all know about Morocco's famous run to the semi-finals to the 2022 World Cup. You know, Senegal won Afcon in 2021. So these are 2 teams who've really just built up over an extended period of time. They've all got fantastic players, but there's also a system. Sometimes in the African Cup of Nations, what you see is teams have one superstar and everything goes through them. But you look at that Senegal team and you've got Sadio Mane, Nicholas Jackson, Ismaila Sarr, Iliman Ndiaye, and it's the exact same with Morocco. Their attacking talent is absolutely frightening. So I think it's going to be a really great game, but definitely the 2 best sides have made the final.
Jay, there's a piece in The Observer from Osasu Obamwana who says that Walid Regragui welcomes the pressure to end Morocco's 50-year Afcon drought. He is, of course, the head coach. He says, I should be bulletproof, but this is Morocco. I accept it and fight for my country. Is there more pressure tonight on him and Morocco and over Senegal? And would that work in Senegal's favour, do you think?
There is a huge amount of pressure on Regragui. It's something really interesting I've noticed throughout this tournament. I've spent a lot of time in Rabat, which is the capital. It's where Morocco have played all their games. And 3 or 4 hours before kickoff, it's not always obvious that Morocco are playing. There seems to be this expectation that they're going to win. So when they made the semi-finals, it's the first time they'd made the semi-finals, I think, in 20 years. And I saw this sudden outburst of excitement. But the entire time, getting to the final has been the bare minimum expectation. So I don't even know if the Moroccan players have actually enjoyed this tournament at times. You don't see them running through the mix zone with smiles on their faces, blaring music speakers, which you see other teams do. It's definitely been a sense of, we've got a mission. What we did at the World Cup means the expectations gone through the roof. And it's the exact same with Regragui. It was in the second game when they drew with Mali, he was getting whistled. So it's been very, very strange, and it can definitely work in Senegal's favour. But what I will say quickly, that stadium, the Prince Moulay Abdallah, 68,000 fans, is quite intimidating. The whistling, the jeering, it just gives you a headache the minute you're into a game. And when they went to penalties against Nigeria, I never sensed any type of nerves or tension, which really took me by surprise. You know, if we were all watching England in a semi-final of the Euros at Wembley and it had gone to extra time, we would all be extremely nervous. But Moroccan fans were still bouncing up and down. And if you were a Nigerian player or a Senegalese player tonight looking at that, you must think, wow, like we're just really up against it.
Hi Jay, Jack here. Obviously Morocco are in a group with Brazil and Scotland at the World Cup. Senegal are in a group with France at the World Cup. Can you see either of those teams making a big impression based on the football you've seen over the course of the last few weeks?
It's actually, spoiler alert, something I'm hopefully going to be writing on in the next couple of days. But I think Morocco, definitely, they've got that experience from the run to the previous tournament. As I touched on a minute ago, just look at the strength and depth. The attacking talent is what catches everybody's eyes with Morocco. You know, Achraf Hakimi overlapping on the right. You've got Ismail Sabari. You've got Brahim Diaz, who scored 5 goals at this tournament. He's been sensational. But they've conceded 1 goal at this tournament, which was a penalty against Mali in the group stage. On their run to the World Cup semi-finals, they were extremely difficult to break down. When it comes to Senegal, At the last World Cup, they lost to England in the round of 16. They beat England last year 3-1. So I think they've continued to improve. They're under a new head coach, Pak Chow. Aliou Cisse was the man who took them to the Afcon final in 2021. And they just seem to keep building layers and layers and layers. I guess the main difference between Senegal and Morocco is that Morocco have, I think, the perfect blend of youth and experience. You look at Senegal's team, Kalidou Koulibaly, Sadio Mane, some of these guys are reaching the ends of their international careers. I think Mane's come out and said this will be his last AFCON. So maybe that's the only thing that might hold them back at the World Cup.